there are 10 times more missiles available than during the Cuban Missile Crisis, when we came so close to a Cold War turning hot. So we are under this illusion that these weapons are put away and everything's fine. And I actually very feel positive about what Obama said in his debate today, that he talks about the importance, the danger of nuclear arms still being held by both sides. And he has joined with Sam Nunn, the former senator, in a pursuit to help Russia and help the world disarm from nuclear weapons as soon as possible, because we are still under a Cold War threat that can be here tomorrow. And so hopefully we will open our eyes and actually see the thing that has to be changed, so it doesn't happen in the next president's term. It doesn't happen in 2021.
Jason, in Pennsylvania, you're on with John Hogue. Go ahead, Jason.
Good morning, George. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Jason.
Honored to speak to you. I have two brief questions, if I may. You had mentioned last time you were on Coast to Coast that something vague about Obama not fulfilling his mission, like Kennedy not winning the election the first time, and
yes,
you had mentioned that it wasn't his destiny to fulfill at this time, and that if he is indeed elected president, that it's not going to go right. Something's going to happen.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up.
I have another question after that.
Yeah, well, let's tackle the first one, because it's quite important. I was saying how McCain was somebody earlier in the show who came to his destiny too late. One of the dangers that Obama faces, his chief challenge in a prophetic sense, is that he has come to his destiny too soon. And people can do that. Sometimes that's a positive thing. Saddam Hussein came to his destiny of starting a war in the Persian Gulf War about 4 years too soon when he invaded Kuwait. And that was good for us, because if he had waited, he would have been a nuclear power when he did it, if he did it in the middle of the 1990s. So since it's fluid and prophecy is fluid, I'm very concerned that Obama is like John Kennedy, rather than being president in 1960, running and winning the presidency in 1956, and really not being ready for the job. Now, what I'm hopeful, to finish my answer, is I'm hopeful that since I see him now as going to be the president, if he has a very precipitously steep learning curve, and I've looked at his chart. I'm actually going to write a whole book about the future of his presidency shortly, as a digital book. And he has a lot of potentials for greatness, and I just hope that he will find the source of that in a hurry, because he's going to have to find it in the first 2 years of his presidency, or it will end in tragedy.
Jason, we'll come back with your second question in just a moment. And welcome back to Coast. I'm George Norrie, John Hogue with us. John, before we go back to Jason, who had a second question, tell us a little bit about the e-books that you've got and how they can get them.
Yes, I have a number of e-books now, moving into the future of book writing and publishing, and I have you can get them by going to HogueProphecy.com. That's HOGUEPROPHECY.com. Just click in to the home page, and you'll see these little thumbnails with the covers in the home page, and you can click on those, and they'll take you into a flash, some flash special effects and all that, and then little movies and an overview of each book. And you just, these are digital books, so they're books you download after you purchase on your computer. And they save a lot of trees. And yet they're full color, fully illustrated, and they're a lot of fun to play with. And they're, if I have any merit as a prognosticator, then I thought I'd like to get into the new world of these kind of things. And the most recent book is Nostradamus and the Antichrist, codenamed Mobus, which just got posted today. But there's also Nostradamus, The War with Iran. There's also a look at The Last Pope Revisited, which looks at the Malachi prophecies. I know you're going to have, George, what sounds like an interesting show about that coming up.
Yes.
And it's a fascinating subject. It's definitely one of the big conspiracies that the third secret of Fatima has been suppressed, and I also talk about that in the book. And hopefully we will find out what it really was, this prophecy. And also the other books that I do annually are predictions for the year. So predictions for 2008 are there. You can assess how I did. And I'm also going to post soon predictions for 2009.
Very good. Let's go back to Jason now. Jason, I'll let you finish up.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me ask the second half of my question.
Absolutely.
In the Dolores Cannon series of books, Conversations with Nostradamus, she had talked about the Antichrist, and I believe she had mentioned that it was channeled information that said that the Antichrist would be a male and be born in the year 1961 with a Muslim uncle, the prominent Muslim uncle on the African continent. Now, I don't know if that plays in with what you were talking about earlier, but my question is, could it be one letter off, like Hister, and it was, instead of Mabus, with an O, Mabos, and that would be Obama backwards?
Well, yeah,
possible.
Well, yeah, I'll start with the last part first. Yeah, I mean, if everybody just spell out on a piece of paper Obama, and then you have the letters for Mabus that are Maabo, and since O is actually pronounced with more of a oo to it, Obama, you can change that to Maabu. Once again, just like with the Bin Laden decoding, you have a redundant A that then can be replaced by an S. You get Mabus. So
Is it possible that they don't know that they are the Antichrist, as is also written?
Oh yes. In fact, to bring back to the theme that I kind of trailed off and didn't finish. How I end the book is looking at what I call the Antichrist unconscious, and I try to actually refresh and completely redefine what is Antichrist, and that it may very well be that Nostradamus, like all of us, searching for some figure. It's not the figure who's a person of evil, it's a symptom, a personification, and a hubris in the form of persona that in some of our leaders appears to be a person of evil, but really the Antichrist I pose in this book that we have the power to free ourselves from is within the conditioned mind that is programmed into us at birth. And you can break free of it. And whether some president or dictator out there is some person of evil foreseen, the Antichrist or the connection we have with that force, our unconscious behavior, our robotic behavior, that thing I said earlier in the show about how prophecy works. It's almost like a prophecy is a tool of the Antichrist forces, because prophecy is so much about people being trained to be very predictable. And then they send that predictability into conditioning each new generation to be predictable. And one of the big stories that are going to come out in this coming century of evolutionary crisis is enough human beings are going to recognize they've got to break this syndrome if they want to and break free of this predictable past, which is mostly of violence and misery and mediocrity, to create what is called homo novus in the prophecies of certain more radical modern prophets. And it's about a coming of a new human race that's really us. That's like, we can say, I have a child that's coming, but unless we conceive that child, a man and a woman conceive that child, it's not going to be born. In the same way, we have a new humanity coming that we conceive by becoming more aware of how robotic we are, by kind of breaking the chains we have around us of this thing called the Antichrist unconscious. And we have the power, each of us as individuals have the power, easy power even, to break free of that.
Okay, Karis, why don't you pick up the next caller for me, because my line here went down. Anyone you want.